Darwin's bishop has threatened to close the Northern Territory's Catholic schools if the government passes anti-discrimination legislation this week. Live to Matt Cunningham in Darwin. Matt, what are the church's concerns?
Well, Tom, essentially they're concerned about the removal of an exemption that they have within the Anti-Discrimination Act that allows faith-based schools to hire staff based on their faith, or more importantly, to exclude people from positions within those schools if they don't fit in with the church's ethos. Now, a lot of faith-based groups have taken exception to what the Northern Territory government is planning to do with this legislation, particularly the removal of that exemption. And the Catholic Bishop Charles Gauci, has gone as far as to say that he would seriously consider closing the Northern Territory's 18 Catholic colleges and schools, which employ more than 1,200 people and have more than 500 students attend them, if the government proceeds with this legislation this week.
If we cannot have proper Catholic schools in our schools, and I'm sure that would be true for many other of the faith schools as well, if you cannot be authentic, what's the point of having them?
Legislation as well, Matt, it's caused a split in the Labor Party's ranks.
That's right, Tom. In fact, the former Education Minister and Attorney-General Chris Burns, as well as the former Labor Health Minister and Speaker Jane Agard, were among those outside the St Mary's Star of the Sea Cathedral protesting against the government's proposed legislation. The Labor federal MP Luke Gosling has also voiced his concerns about what the Northern Territory government is doing here. I caught up with Chris Burns, the former Education Minister and Attorney-General. Here's a bit of what he had to say.
The Christian schools and the Catholic schools are vitally important to Aboriginal education here in the Northern Territory. And I always look for partnerships in there, but this seems to be causing divisions, which isn't the best interest of the students. So I'd urge the government to be working with these sectors to come up with a solution, and I think that solution is going to come through the Commonwealth.
As you know, Tom, the Federal Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus has actually ordered a review into religious discrimination legislation and has appointed a New South Wales Supreme Court Justice to conduct that review within the Australian Law Reform Commission. Luke Gosling is saying that the Northern Territory should wait until that review is completed. He expects that will happen by about April next year before it proceeds with this legislation. But the Northern Territory is not backing down. I spoke to Chancey Paik, the Northern Territory Attorney-General, about this matter this morning. Here's a bit of what he had to say.
This is certainly not an attack. We are not closing down faith-based schools. We respect and value their role in the Territory's communities, but we also respect and value the role of each and every Territorian, and making sure that they have equal protections and rights is at the core of the Territory's values, and that's what we wanted to make sure was represented in the anti-discrimination bill.
There is some disquiet within the Labor Party's caucus here in the Northern Territory about this legislation, Tom, but it is still expected to pass the Parliament on the numbers this week. The Catholic Church has not ruled out legal action if and when that does occur.